All right. So this one was a one that
and are ready to make.
sorry about that. So this call, I believe it was a later start date. And we're just gonna go over this same fitness offer, daily carb review, one of the closers, more in the objection handling process. Let's dive right in.
Sure that they're making some of these changes and dialing in on the nutrition, and they're ready to plant their foot and make sure that they're doing that $500 instead of paying that 25. Correct.
Okay.
We have limited slots. 2K.
Okay. Now what's it look like as far as like, so if I didn't, if I didn't agree to it today, obviously agreeing to the 2,500, do you guys have a certain amount of like people you take? Like it may not be open, and then am I on like a waiting list?
Cool. So it's always a good sign when somebody's interested, and they ask questions like this. Anytime somebody asks a question, you always want to take that as, okay, this person is at least somewhat interested in this. We just have to understand like how we can take their interest with their objections, remove the objections, and then kind of make them, support them to still make a decision on the call.
Correct.
Okay.
We have limited spots. We do that for, the main reason is that we have limited coaches on the roster, and we don't like to overload any coaches with too many clients because we don't want anyone spread too thin, and we want to make sure that every client that we're working with gets the, appropriate individual attention. So if we weren't to move forward today, then, and if you were to get back to us on a later date, we wouldn't be able to, for one, guarantee that the spots would be available. And at that point, you would just end up being waitlisted.
Good response. I always say that with the it's kind of just like a logical reason, like, hey, we have limited spots for each coach. We just can't guarantee it. And so we're seeing where she's at now too, right?
Okay. Okay, that's good to know.
Right. So now I think this is where you remove this objection. Now we're going to get the real objection.
Um,
Again, objections is just like, it's just kind of understanding what the objection is. You remove that. It's kind of like peeling an onion layer, right? It's like peeling an onion. Objection, remove it. Another objection, remove it. Another objection, remove it. Maybe one more, boom, fear. And then you challenge the fear in a nice, genuine way.
yeah, unfortunately, after my call yesterday, I did let her know that, I leave for a vacation tomorrow, and it's just not something that I could, commit to right this second. So yeah, I would have to go the route of having to touch base with you when I'm back. I just don't want to commit to something, and it's just something I'm thinking about the entire time while I'm gone. I just kind of want to leave tomorrow and, enjoy my time, but and not think about like immediately coming back and getting into a program. Everything does sound great though. I think maybe it was poor timing for me to make this call. I should have probably waited till I came back, but the way that it lined up, I didn't think it was gonna move this quickly. So yeah, I think I would have to touch base with you again, and
Okay, so he's trying to take a little bit of the authority of the call, right? We don't try to combat that. We just try to understand what the real objection is. We have to listen, actively listen what she's saying. She's saying, I have vacation tomorrow. I don't want to have to think about it, right? So it might be that this kind of stresses her out or whatever the case is. We want to understand by asking the right question, but active listening. This is the best way to understand objections is they're going to say 2 or 3 sentences, or they might even say 2 or 3 words, but you have to understand what they're saying. In a simple question, literally just like in discovery, you can just say, okay, well, what do you mean by that? Or, okay, it sounds like, is that correct? Right? You want to isolate the objection.
if it's waitlisted, it's totally fine. It's
No,
it's
for
not
sure.
gonna stop my journey type of thing because of it.
I hear
Yeah.
you. So to be clear, but in terms of everything that does come with the program, it all does sound like it is right up your alley. Like again,
Yeah.
the blueprint itself,
Perfect tie down.
the accountability, it all sounds good. It just seems to be kind of like a timing thing.
Yeah, I think
Perfect. Nice tie down. What's the isolation?
I just wasn't expecting like a quick reply. I think I just was like, oh, what is, I wanted to learn more about it because I'm not, I don't, like I said, I don't really do programs. I'm not like super educated on like what these type of things look like. And if it's a
Okay, so all of these are objections, right? I didn't think it was going to be this quick. I'm not super educated. I don't usually do programs. Sometimes in this scenario, because you're doing a good job, and this is for everybody who's watching too, right? I honestly type some things out so I can remember because everything's going so fast right now, right? Everything's like, whoa, what's going on? Right? And so basically, if everything's going so fast, then what you're trying to do is trying to just jot down some notes. Like I would probably write down like courses, programs, timing, like literally like on a document, like on Google Doc or just like on a piece of paper. It's better to type and it's faster, right? And then I'm understanding what the objection is, like timing, courses, programs, so on, like too quick or something like that.
right fit for me. It does sound like a great fit for me. But committing to like such a big thing and such a costly thing,
Committing.
like right here, right now, I would say that's not typically something I do. I do like to make very sound financial decisions. And of course, I had no clue how much it was going to cost, hence
Down financial decisions, right?
why I reached out to you guys. But everything does sound good. I know like you can't really put a price on your health and stuff, but something like that is just so important. So I do see myself this really working out for me, being something I'm very interested in. But with anything that I do in my life, I like to take a second to think and make sure that, I will, put everything into this. It's been a long time since I've like really worked towards a goal. I do believe that I can totally do it. It's just, I don't want
You said there's like 3 or 4 things going on right now.
to be feeling like I made a really big decision before vacation and I'm stressed about it,
I hear you. And so I know one thing you mentioned is like you don't want to, make the decision before the vacation, then have to the second you return, go ahead and just dive right into things, right? Oftentimes we'll have people that go ahead and enroll and sign up for one to make sure, especially if they already know this does sound like something that they will have success with. Sounds like something that is ideal and kind of built for them, right? So we oftentimes will have people that'll sign up, before vacation or before, before some travel that's already lined up, which is perfectly fine. It's not to say we would sign up and you'd have to get started tomorrow immediately.
You see, you're not overcoming the objection, so she's just gonna say no. I already know it.
You'd be able to sign.
It's like, it's kind of like she's saying like, well, I'm just really cold right now. And you're like, no worries, just like go inside. It's like, no, I'm just really cold. It's like, it's okay. It's warm in there. And it's like, no, but like, I need like something else to make me feel warm right now. And you're like, just go inside. And, so you have to like understand like, okay, so like, why are you feeling cold right now? What can help you to make you feel not cold? What can make you feel warm? Like, what do you need to make sure that you can go inside this room or this house or this gym or whatever? I'm just literally creating an example at the top of my head so that everything is making sense for you, right? What I would respond is like, no worries, totally understand. I want you to enjoy your vacation tomorrow and the next week, so on and so forth. I don't want to stress you. I don't want this to feel like it's too quick for you. I do just want to understand you a little bit. So you did mention, and I look at my notes, you don't usually do courses or programs. This was really too quick. And you want to make financial sound decisions. Is that correct? It's like, yes. Okay, got it. So is it more that you don't believe that the program will work for you, or like you don't really believe or you have to take some time to think about the finances, or like this was just too quick, or was it everything? Like what's really kind of like, what do you feel like is kind of going on there? Like, and then I'll let her talk, and then I would kind of go a little bit further and be like, okay, so it really sounds like this, and that's what's causing the stress out. It's like, yes. It's like, okay, got it. And then I would just break down each objection. It's like, okay, so let's break down the timing thing, right? A lot of times, what ends up happening with like things becoming so quick is, you could potentially think this is obviously really quick, that you message somebody, then you got on a call, then you got another call, and you're like, oh my gosh, I got vacation. If you really think about it, in this short span of time, it is quick. But if you really think about it, like you've been wanting these goals for the past, like you've been saying 6 months. So it's not really like a quick thing. It's just the solution's here, and then it was quick to get to the solution. But like the thing that you've been wanting to fix the past 6 months has always been there. Is that correct? It's like, yeah. Okay, got it. So like, does it kind of make sense that like, although it makes me seem quick near, getting started with something like this, then, like you still have always been thinking about wanting to change this. So that's been at least 6 months, right? It's kind of like you've been trying to find like the perfect restaurant or the perfect like salon or like the perfect location to live. It's always been there. But then once you find it, you already know it's the right decision. Does that kind of make sense? Like, I understand where you're coming from. Does it kind of make sense in what I'm trying to say? It's like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. And you hear the tone. Does that really make sense? It's like, no, that makes sense. Boom, that's one objection. Next objection. Okay, got it. You did also say you don't really do courses and programs. Like, tell me a little bit more about that. It's like, yeah, this is kind of new to me, so on and so forth. And it's like, totally makes sense. I know this is something that's new to you. I mean, is there a reason why you haven't done it? It's like, oh, well, I had a bad experience in the past. Boom, overcome the bad experience. Do you understand how this is different? Because we work with specific this, and it's not just for everybody. And the reason we work with people specifically in this type of scenario, blah, 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 blah. Does that make sense? And they're like, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, boom, second objection done. Third objection, right? It's like, I really like to make financial sound decision. Boom, open wallet. Do you understand how this is like the right decision, and you're saving money if you make decision on the call right now? And we can even do like a payment plan, blah, blah, blah. If you do the open wallet and that, it's like, yes. It's like, okay, boom, you overcome those 3 objections. Great. Is everything making sense on how this can actually, how this actually makes sense to you now? Like, if we do this, we do that, we do that. It's like, yeah. It's like, okay, so I'm assuming this probably wouldn't be something that like stresses you out now that we understand all these aspects. Like, yeah, that's starting to make sense now, right? Because in her head, she's just freaking out. She doesn't show up, but she's just like, oh my God, this is way too much. and then we can go for like a payment plan. Worst case, deposit, but you want to overcome those objections first. And I think you're just, that's a load of objections, and then you're like, deposit? It's like, no, hell no. Like, I don't want, like, I'm just letting you know what my worries are. And it's like, I'm not going to put even $1 down.
I know. And then, go ahead and take your vacation. And whether you're coming back 7 days or 10 days, or even whatever day you come back, you want, another week to kind of settle in, we can definitely still, get you enrolled and then just postpone the starting date if that's something that would help you out.
Okay.
She was kind of cool about it.
Yeah. I don't want to miss out on a spot, but I also don't want to put too much pressure on myself.
You see, there's a lot of pressure and stress.
To make the decision. Just like with stepping out of my comfort zone, something I'm very, I tend to overthink things, but I do like to give myself time. I don't know that I can make a decision like this in like a 30-minute, call.
You see, because those objections are still there. We haven't talked about those objections. All right. I can go through the rest of the call. I think it's just gonna be back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But it's really about really understanding what those objections are. And this is like a really advanced type of thing. Like I would say probably one of the most advanced type of techniques. I mean, not super advanced, but I guess what I'm trying to share this is when you're getting all these objections at once, especially if it's like multiple objections in like a single feedback or like couple sentences when they're responding to your question, I like having a document. I literally pull up like on a Mac, my notes tab, like, put her name or his or her name and and then yeah, just write down the objection, just like one word. And so then it gives me a little bit of understanding what I have to remember to overcome 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, even 5. And then we're like, does that make sense? It's like, yeah, that actually makes sense. And then it's like, cool. So let's get started. And then boom, you process the payment. Right. So I've had calls in the past when I used to be a closer in the past from like from all the way literally coming on a call and saying like no to 20 minutes. I mean, it's a battle, right? It's like 10, 20 minutes. It's around like 10 minutes, honestly. Afterwards, like you can like fast forward and you're like, oh, yeah, this is actually working. Like let's do this. Right. And then in the beginning of the pitch, once they say no, you automatically think that they're not going to do it, but then they end up doing it and you're like, oh, wow. Right. So hopefully that helps for you all as well. And implement this.